there's long been a trend, and when I say long, I mean the last few years, of book adaptations into movies, popular ones such as Harry Potter. And now we have The Hunger Games following suit of splitting the final book into 2 films instead of 1. We also saw this with Twilight. However, I have seen none of the Twilight films, so we're talking about Harry Potter and The Hunger Games today. And the choice here was, it seems to be based purely on financial reasons, which is hype is at an all-time high. We have this crazy finale coming up. Let's split it up. Let's make some money. But it seems there's an argument on the other side as to why they would want to do this for plot reasons.
Yeah.
It would help in certain ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they did, and the greatest example, of course, is the Harry Potter one. And if you want to go to the extreme, what they did with The Hobbit, they put it into 3 films. They extended it out to 3 films. And that's what tells you, it's like, I'm not saying it's good or bad, I'm saying that's an example of it, you know? So there were moments, there were so many good moments in each of the Hobbit films, but if you put that all together, you'd have had a kick-ass film. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. They made their money, but they kind of, messed with the franchise.
We recently did a story on the behind the scenes, which revealed nobody knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
and
Peter Jackson said that.
Yeah, Peter Jackson was quoted as saying, "I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Right.
So let's halt production on this so I can get my head on and figure out what to do for the Battle of 5 Armies." And it's not a great way to make a film.
No, and I think you see that with the Harry Potter one, because I didn't actually like Deathly Hallows Part 1. I thought it was very long and drawn out and at times boring. And I fell asleep a couple times, and I don't do that in movies. And I fell asleep, especially when they're all just waiting around, trying to find that Horcrux. And it's just like, oh.
I'm very prone to loving Harry Potter, but I'm a huge fan of the book series, and perhaps that was made somewhat with someone like me in mind, because we have these quieter moments that sometimes we lose when we adapt a book to a movie, and it's by nature. You cannot make everything that happened in the book happen in the film. It can't be 14 hours long. You only have a certain amount of time to make this happen, so some things do get jettisoned off. But when we look at movies like Deathly Hallows Part 1, we have quieter scenes. They're listening to the radio and traveling the countryside in hopes of finding a Horcrux, that it's not going well, and it's tense, and then we have that moment where they dance, and you go, oh, they're kids. They're just kids doing this impossible thing. So we have, I guess, more of the interpersonal play that we might see in a book, but not a movie, though that would be tonally inconsistent with this series of movies that has gone a completely different route.
Well, I think it would have been possible in the Harry Potter films to still have that. I love the Harry Potter franchise, big fan of it, love the films, but that particular one was the one that kind of took such a long time to get through, and it almost felt like another origin film where it takes so long to get to the situations. But I think you could have had those moments still earned those situations and condensed it into one film and still had a powerful ending as they did in Part 2. I'm so much more partial to Part 2 because there's just so much happening and storylines get wrapped up, and there's great acting, great storytelling throughout the whole film.
Oh, I'm going to agree with you that I think Part 2 is better.
Somebody write that down.
I'm going to agree with you that Part 2 is the stronger one, I think.
Yeah.
Though it's just what they deliver, I think, are 2 different things.
Yeah.
Or that what they're strong at delivering is 2 different things, and it would really depend heavily on which thing you're looking for. And are you a huge fan of the books? Did you read the books? Did you get into them probably more than you should have? Because, we also have this in The Hunger Games, where The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, good grief, that is a long title.
Yeah.
We have, we're looking at Katniss kind of just recovering a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's less...
It's PTSD, the whole film.
It's less action-based. Yeah, it is a PTSD film.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit different from what we're used to, especially if you're looking at the action of the Hunger Games Part 1 and Part 2. And, you may think that it's far worse, though I haven't seen the finale yet.
Yeah, neither have I.
I've read the book. I know what's going to happen.
That counts.
I know. I pretty much know what's going to happen unless there's a big freaking twist.
Yeah.
And, I don't know that that book necessarily needed to be split into 2. Or split into 2.
I don't know any that really... Half-Blood Prince was the longest of the Harry Potter films, and they didn't split that into 2, or Harry Potter books, and they didn't split that into 2
That's fair.
films, and so it's like it was a money grab. It's what these things are. They're studios. We have to always remember that. They're in the business of making money, and you know, in those moments, it's like almost they earn those films by making those other films and those characters so interesting. They throw this film in there for you to sit through as a fan of the characters, right? If you're walking into the franchise not having seen the other films, you will find that film boring. But if they might have earned some goodwill with you to sit through a film like that.
That might be true too, because it's just like, all right, we gave you what you want. You sit down and you watch this shit.
Watch this right now.
Give us your money. We'll make another one, and you'll like that too, just a little bit more. Seems fair. I mean, well,
Totally.
it's the difference between making art and making a product, and that's the constant balance when you're looking at film in particular, but almost any kind of entertainment, which is you kind of, sometimes it seems horrible, and sometimes it seems. Actually, it almost never seems skewed to the art, but
I prefer extended editions.
I would like that too, as well. I think I would like to watch that version. Audience, what do you think of the idea of splitting the final book into 2 movies? Necessary or cash grab? Let us know below in the comments, and please like and subscribe for more.